Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 18th episode of the Orcocast. 18 episodes in, still going strong. With me, my beautiful co-host, Lord Val Gaming, and my
Hi.
beautiful co-host, Bum Bum.
Hello.
And today we are going to talk about video games and wish some walk on them. So, first we are going to talk about the Avengers beta. Then we are going to talk about Fast and Furious Crossroads. And then we are going to talk about Death Stranding. The discussion that has been longed for a long time. A Kojima fanboy versus a Kojima fanboy. But not liking Death Stranding. Let's go. Val, Avengers better. Take it away.
Avengers, Marvel Avengers beta. I'm a fan of the Avengers, hence the T-shirt. So basically, the Avengers beta is probably the best game I have seen of the Avengers, or probably the best game that we'll ever probably see on the Avengers. The only problem with the Avengers game, well, there's a few problems with it. First, I don't think the game is finished at all. There is no, I don't know. I think that it needed more time cooking, and they wanted to push it out now because there is no other games coming out anytime soon. So they're gonna capitalize on the market throughout, the whole of when it comes out at the end of this month, which is gonna be probably August, September, October, until we get to November, where probably all the big games are, AAA games are going to start coming out. So the game, in my opinion, it's been rushed because it's not properly, it's not, it doesn't feel like it's finished. It feels like the game is really good though, but it feels like it needed more time cooking, just a tiny bit more, a couple of more months in the oven. So, it's got frame drops. 4K mode is almost unplayable. The frame drops are all over the place. As for now, for what I've played, I play a few hours of it, and the thing is, the first thing you should do is not play in 4K, because that's gonna be basically, it's gonna break the game. Is gonna have FPS drops all over the place because the game is hectic. There is a lot of moving parts. There is breaking parts of the whatever you're fighting, and then the enemies, and there is a lot of things going on around you. So that's going to influence on the FPS at the end. And I don't think in console is performing as good. I'm not sure about PC version. For what I've heard, it's got more or less the same issues, where it's got a lot of FPS drops when you're playing 4K. But obviously, it's a very demanding game. It's got a lot, things going on the screen though. On console, it's not good. On console, it's definitely not good, and I would not recommend you guys to give it a try, because on 4K, the best thing you can do is, as soon as you load the game, go into your settings, go on to the video settings, and put it on maximum performance. Even though you put it on maximum performance, the game is still gonna have drops, and it's got like this juggling, stuttering kind of like camera when it's moving fast, which you can, or you may or may not notice it. For people like, I like to pick on these little bits here and there. Obviously, I've been playing for quite a long time, so obviously, I do notice these kind of things, and it's just kind of weird to me. I can still see those things. The juggling when you're moving the camera really fast. Still, the game, like I said, it's probably the best game we're ever gonna get on Marvel, or we've ever gotten of Marvel Avengers, which is sad to hear, because there is another point that I want to put out there. Like, I don't know what you guys think about it, but I hope I'm wrong. I do hope I'm wrong, because that's gonna be really bad. I think the game has a monetization, like a heavy monetization service going on. I really hope I'm wrong. I think it's gonna be heavily monetized. But what I mean by heavily monetized, I'm talking about season pass per character. I'm talking about connecting accounts to different, they got connect to account to Fortnite, I believe it is, and there's another one going on already. Boy, oh boy, if this is true. Boy, oh boy. Marble is going to burn.
I'm gonna jump in here. I prefaced this. Bum Bum linked me a video to the game of a YouTube video, YouTube channel he watches, and in this video, the game looked absolutely abominable. The motion blur was absolutely atrocious. This was the first thing I was seeing. They pointed out the same stuff you pointed out, that the game is completely undercooked, that the game is completely not finished. They also pointed out another interesting fact, and I think they will go this route in terms of monetization and heavy monetization. So what they are going to do, and this is where what I will predict, and hopefully I'm right because then I'm gonna laugh. They said the mission select screen looks almost like the one in Warframe.
It's straight up a copy of what it is in Warframe, essentially.
Yes. And here is where what they are going to do with this game. I think Square Enix, who publishes the game, bought the rights to a bunch of characters, not only the characters we are going to see in the finished game or in the game when it releases, but also to a lot of other Marvel characters. And they will release these characters as DLC over the time, and they will be just like Warframes. So that means you will collect them and go with them on missions after that, and then everyone got its own season pass. Every character has its own DLC. Every character has its own microtransactions, skins, and whatever not. They will monetize this game to hell and back, and there will be no tomorrow, and it's going to make it worse for the consumer. I think we're at a stage where we will see the maximum amount of monetization that is possible in a so-called live service game, because this is what this game is going to be, a live service game. I think you should not support that at all. This is where I have to draw the line and say, if you release a product in this stage and they don't have time to fix all the issues, like even the video Bam Bam linked me showed how Kamala Khan punches right into an enemy, the fist goes right through and doesn't even connect with the model of the enemy. It doesn't even connect, it goes right through. The enemy still flies away. This is how unfinished this game is.
Yeah, I mean, even like I was getting dizzy watching the video because of how much screen shake there is when the characters fight. Like every hit, essentially the screen shakes, or the character jumps, the screen shakes. It's crazy. It's kind of weird seeing this because it's obviously, I checked, it's a full price title, and then you see, okay, we have essentially what's a battle pass per character. There's going to be definitely new characters. I'm pretty sure we'll see X-Men.
We are assuming there is a battle pass.
I mean, when
character.
you because the way they show it, the way essentially the unlocks show, there is some of them are for some reason marked free.
Yeah.
So obviously that leads to the expectation that there's going to be a monetization.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out
Yeah,
across
yeah,
to everyone.
yeah,
This,
yeah.
we are assuming. We are
Yeah,
assuming.
yeah.
We don't know yet. It might be, it might not be.
It's very likely, but yeah.
For the experience that we have on gaming,
Yeah.
it's more than likely it's gonna
Yeah.
happen.
And it's super insidious that it's essentially you see it per character. So that's the main insinuation that like when there is if there's gonna be probably will be some kind of battle pass, it's gonna be per character basis. You're not gonna get a giant battle pass for every single thing.
Yeah.
So essentially, yeah. So they're monetizing every single character to even a higher degree than Warframe. Because in Warframe you just buy the character, and if you want you can buy a skin, but you don't have to really. even like the characters themselves, most of them
Yeah.
you can just get in game. You don't have to buy them.
Unfortunately, there's two things I have to say. One is probably this is probably the best Avengers game we're ever going to get. That's unfortunate
Yeah, it's a
because of the model. Because honestly, the game looks really good, and it's actually, what I would say, it's everything I can expect from a Marvel game. Being a Marvel fan, you see, the all the characters fighting together, up to 4 people co-op. You can, grind for gear and stuff like that. I'm like, it's
I
like you got it right there. Why are you doing that
see
to us?
see
can I make a point about the best Avengers game? I would argue we already had a pretty decent Avengers game. It's not
Ultimate
called
Alliance.
exactly. It's not
Yeah,
called Avengers, but it's called Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. I would argue that this was already a pretty decent effort. I've never
was
played the
great.
I never played the third one. I'm planning on doing that, but
Mhm.
1 and 2 were pretty cool. So, I would rather suggest if you didn't play that and you like Diablo-like games, you go for that. Just saying.
Yeah, well, the Marvel Alliance, but it's not. It's on Switch.
It's PlayStation
Ultimate
2 and
Alliance 1 and 2 are on
No, no,
every
no.
platform.
The third one. The third
The
one.
third one
the
is
third
on
one.
Switch, yes.
It's on Switch only, isn't it?
Yes, that's only on Switch, but 1 and
Yeah.
2 are also available on Steam, I think. So, like I said, 1 and 2 are available, and I would just suggest to go to those.
Yeah. Hear me out. I'm just talking about, wide. A wide. You know, you get the. We're talking about a AAA game in 2020 with, AAA graphics, and for all the consoles. It's gonna come out for all
Yeah,
the consoles and everything. So obviously, I'm talking about that type of game. It's one game that you think and you say, okay, fair enough. This is what I would like from a game. This is Marvel, and not only Marvel. A Marvel game where I can play with 4 people on my console, but it's also a Marvel game that goes and that you have to grind, kind of like Destiny. The gear system is very similar to Destiny as well. With the power system and everything. So it's super. It's like it's the same. It's the same thing. It's a copy and paste basically with the power system and everything. It's literally exactly the same as Destiny. It's got everything that I would think of. To say, oh, it's got the grinding, it's got the gear, it's got the characters, it's got multiplayer, and harvesting as well. Well, you can research for materials and stuff like that. I mean, you got a ton of stuff as well. So it's one of those games that you would say, it's gonna be like a Destiny WoW kind of like grindy game. It's gonna be there forever, isn't it? Like you're gonna have lots of stuff to do, lots of materials. You're gonna be grinding for stuff. So I was like, perfect. It ticks all the boxes for me.
seeing like see, that's my issue. That's not a superhero game. That's just a grinder. If I like the way I would want an Avengers games, it's something akin to what they did with the Spider-Man. Just have a good action game. Doesn't have me, repeat missions, or that has a good story that's based on a cool comic book arc. Not, an endless grind that's gonna suck out all the money out of my pocket at the end of the day. I think
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like seeing the way the game is. Even if it was good, it's a disappointment because it's just another, like, yeah, as you said, it's another Destiny, another like take on whatever is this like endless multiplayer grind.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm not, obviously I'm not gonna be, I'm not saying, that what my point was that
Yeah,
it ticks all the boxes for me, and it's sad to see what's kind of like coming. Like you
yeah,
can't you say it coming. And it's like, no, please, 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 please fix it before you release it. Please don't do that. And it's like, kind of like myself trying to like in my head, it's like, please don't let it happen, please don't let it happen, because it's more, what can I say? It's more the fanboy rather than anything else.
yeah.
It's a fanboy on me. It's I want the grind, I want the game, and I want to play the heck of this game, every day like I do on Destiny. And I want another game to be like, what do I play? Do I play Destiny? Do I play Marvel? I want to do that. I really want to do that. So, that's what I'm saying. It's like,
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's not like that because it takes everything for me. I just, honestly, it's got it. It's got everything. It might not be just Venice just yet. I mean, fair enough. We get those games nowadays more often than not. I mean, it's not nice to see. Well, it is what it is. But it's just the monetization thing. I see it coming.
Yeah,
I see it coming, and
definitely.
it's just I don't want it to happen. I just don't want it to happen, please.
Like the writings on the wall in blood, like it's not coming off.
Oh man, if I mean, I hope they can, kind of like backtrack before, you know what I mean, like before anything happens,
Yeah.
they can backtrack on that stuff and they can do like a universal maybe season pass or something. If they
Mhm.
want to do it, fair enough. All most of the games do season pass nowadays, so that's not a surprise. Except Predatory, yes, but except on most of the games, yeah. If you want to pay, you can pay. If you don't want to pay, you don't have to pay for. And that's okay with me.
Yeah, that's the thing though. It's like if you don't want to pay, you don't have to.
Mhm.
Some companies just make it really difficult to avoid, and we'll see how Square Enix handles this.
But that's what I'm saying is like if there is
Yeah.
a universal one, okay, fair enough. It's a
Yeah.
universal one, you get your
Yeah, yeah.
skins, you can grab your stuff.
Yeah.
But if they make an individual one, it's gonna be like, oh man, oh man. I hope people raise their voices and we like the gaming community comes together to say this is not right. Like what they did with Battlefront. We all know what happened to Battlefront 2. Everyone came together, one voice, in unison. We made them turn off the packs for such a long time that when they came back, no one even knew they were there anymore. We made them turn the game around. Such a big company that they have that such a great game. So obviously, being EA and Star Wars, which is a franchise from Disney, they they came out like this. Disney came, well, Disney basically Disney came out and saying, you can't do that to a franchise like a Star Wars, man. You're killing it. So they basically, step back and read it again. I don't know if I'm right or not, but I think that's what I read. That Disney actually came out to EA and said, this is not to happen.
This allegedly happened that the Mouse House picked up the phone and gave EA a call. Nobody knows for sure if that really was the case or if they really called, but I imagine that after Star Wars being already in trouble at that point, that they did that. Because Star Wars overall is damaged goods. But let's not go into that discussion. Back to the Avengers. I mean, the Avengers is also owned by the
Disney.
Mouse House. So,
I mean, that's what I'm
yeah.
saying. It's like, are they going to react now before anything happens? Because there is already rumors of like, I'm not the only one saying this. You guys are not the first one saying this. So we are seeing it more than in one place. So
Here's what I think. I don't think that Disney might react as strongly to the Avengers game as they did to Battlefront, because Marvel is still basically their pristine franchise. It hasn't been damaged yet. If that makes sense. They might be more protective in the current environment because from what I've heard, Disney is hemorrhaging money at the moment. Because everything that is built around, or everything their business model is built around, is at the moment really in trouble. You cannot go into the parks, they cannot produce any movies, and it looks like that Disney Plus is the only service that brings them money at the moment. And they're hemorrhaging money badly. So they might be overprotective of their brands, and they might give Square Enix a call. Like I said, I cannot predict that. I don't have insight, but I think they might do. if things get out of hand. And from what I've heard, a lot of people are not too pleased with the beta.
No surprise.
I
I'm
mean,
I'm I'm not
it
surprised. It's like I don't know. It's like I'm saying, like you see it there, and it's like it's there. So please don't let it happen.
yeah. I mean,
Please.
when I've seen the footage for the first time, I was like, is that running on PS3 or what? Because that's how bad the games used to run on PS3.
Graphics wise, the game looks really good. Let me tell you,
Yeah, but the thing
the
is, it's like
characters look good. The,
it
the
can look pretty.
cosmetics, they look cool and everything. But I
Yeah,
know what you're
no,
saying.
no,
The
no, no. I
stuttering
mean,
kind of. It's a stuttering when you move the camera fast,
yeah, no,
which I
no.
don't understand where it's coming from. That
Like
doesn't happen anymore.
the entire issue is with the game how it runs. Like not just turning the camera fast. It just runs bad. It needs. I think that's the issue with the a lot of the games that have been released in the last 2.5 years.
Mhm.
They especially on consoles, they push graphics and forgo frame rate, and frame rate is the most important thing.
Yeah,
It
absolutely.
supersedes every single graphic detail.
Yeah.
And if you don't have your game that runs decently, your game's gonna play like crap.
Mhm.
And yeah, that's my issue with Avengers as well. Like, yeah, it looks pretty, but that doesn't matter if it runs at like 22 frames per second.
Not even that.
Yeah,
Val, you said at the beginning that it has frame stutters.
It's got
And
frames to start. It still has. You can really say. Obviously, at first glance, you don't say it. You know, you can't. If you look at it and you kind of like within the battle and everything, you don't really see it. But if you stand still in an open area and you start moving your camera, trying to move your camera fast enough, it starts. You see that kind of like stuttering going on between frames. You can see the frames. That's completely right. There is a lot of things going on. There is a lot of things going on the game. Like there is a ton of enemies, and there is you can break the floor and you can throw rocks, and there's a lot of things going on the in the game, which obviously is it's gonna be difficult to keep everything unison at at a certain level. But I'm not really worried about that, because that could be fixed in the future. Might not be fixed just now, but it might be fixed in the future. And you know, at least you get the game. You're gonna be playing the game, and you're gonna be enjoying it, and stuff like that. That I'm fine with. Okay, that these things can be fixed. That's I'm fine with. I'm not fine with. It's just the monetization. That's what really worries me about the game. That the stuttering and everything. It seems like the game needs more time cooking. Yeah, it does.
it needs yeah
It
it needs
does.
optimization because I've just in the background. Well, I just had muted Digital Foundry video going on.
Mhm.
The game drops as low as 19 frames per second.
It does need more time cooking. Fair enough. You can
That's not
still get a
though.
game like that. It can be
That's
improved, isn't it? At least in
well
the
that's not
future.
well that's not just cooking. They need to essentially re-optimize every single asset to make it run well. That's not just a bit of work. That's a fundamental flaw in their visual design that impacts performance.
These kind of things I can live with. Basically, that's fine. Not game is gonna be super smooth and it's gonna be super perfect.
No, it's
Destiny still plays on console 30 FPS, and I still play, and I
yeah.
love it.
No, that's the thing. It's like it doesn't like I'm not saying like it has to run like 4K 120 frames per second, but the frame rate should be steady because you're playing essentially an action RPG where your reaction can be impacted by the frame
Mhm.
rate, and if the frame rate's not consistent, you're gonna get screwed over when you're playing the game.
Absolutely, and I actually think that they probably pushed it too hard trying to make a 4K. With that said, like I said, I can live with those things. I can live with a bit of a flaw here and there. My real worry is the monetization of the game.
Yeah.
It is what they're gonna be doing with the game. If like I said, there may be some frame drops here and there, and a bit of a fight. You may have a few frame drops. It happens everywhere. It happens on Destiny. It's 30 FPS, and you still get into a fight in a raid, and your frames drop to like 10 frames per second, and we still play because we love it. It feels good. It feels great to jump around and shoot weapons. That's exactly what I'm saying with Marvel. It's got its flaws and everything, but you can still play. You enjoy your characters. You enjoy smacking stuff around. Feel like you are, I don't know, Iron Man, and you're just shooting stuff, everything, and you feel super powerful and everything. You can, you can still feel good. But I would, like I said, my worry is like what they're gonna be doing with the monetization. Is it gonna be per character? Are they gonna be super predatory on everything they do on, monetization system? And because already like there is signs with just the characters, and there is signs with connecting to Fortnite, connecting to other companies, which have literally nothing to do with the game. That is my real problem. They're gonna be going hard on a game that is so, they could be so good. It could be so, it could give us a lot of smiles and happy and good times with our friends, because I see this game as a AAA 2020 game that is what it could be the best, kind of like it's kind of like a mixture of like Destiny, Warframe, and then you put a I don't know, like God of War all together. You mix it up, and then you brand it as Marvel Avengers. Like it doesn't get any better than that. Come on. Like that's actually it feels good to play the game, because I was playing the game and I was like, it feels good to play the game. I just, you got the soldering and everything. Yeah, fair enough. It need more time cooking. Yeah. Could it be bad because of the monetization? That's my main worry. That's all. The other thing I want to mention before we move on is actually the fact that Spider-Man is going to be exclusive for PlayStation. That's just stupid. I swear to God. What are you guys thinking?
Doesn't Sony still have the sort of the rights for the movie Spider-Man?
Yes, they do.
Yeah, so
That's-
it might be one of those things that they essentially have the main rights for the Spider-Man brand.
Yeah.
So
I think
yeah,
I think Sony is very protective of Spider-Man because they know how much money it makes them.
yeah. Plus, they
And
did make the Spider-Man game as well. They had
Yeah.
Was it Insomniac that made
yeah,
it?
Insomniac
Yeah.
makes it. And
Yeah.
I personally think it makes a lot of sense for them.
Yeah.
It's anti-consumer to the nth degree. But like we said, Sony basically bought back when Marvel was in trouble, Spider-Man wholesale from them, the rights to movies, I think, and everything, and Marvel has to deal with that, and Sony will cling to Spider-Man as much as they can.
That's silly. That's completely silly, because we can't get to play on any console, Spider-Man other than PlayStation, which is absolutely ridiculous. Kind of like it's one of the most iconic characters. It's just games or consoles or any corporation, making us, suffer for, their deals or whatever their money want to make. I like, honestly, I just can't deal with that. Like, I just don't get it. I really don't. This is anti-consumer. This is anti. The people that like to enjoy. Like, I'm not the biggest fan of Spider-Man, but I would love to play as a Spider-Man. Of course, I would. Like, obviously, I was. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, I'm super excited. And oh, it's coming only for PlayStation. Like, for real? Do you think I'm gonna play about PlayStation because of that? No, I'm going to avoid it even more because of that. I think that's wrong. I honestly, I think I actually dislike Sony PlayStation even more just for doing that.
Honestly, I think that's the least of the game's issues.
Yeah, but
Like-
that's one of the things that they're not gonna allow me to play a character that I would like to play with. Because I'm
Then again-
excited about the game. It's a simple fact that I'm excited about the game. Bang bang. It's not. I'm not talking about a just a normal gamer who might try the game, kind of. I'm talking about a guy who's gonna play probably, who wants to play, not that he's going to, but who wants to play this game like as much as I play Destiny. Like
Mm.
I've digged almost 6,000 hours into Destiny to this point, between Destiny 2 and Destiny 1. That's
Yeah.
6,000 hours of enjoyment that I'm thankful to Bungie for that. That's why I'm such a fan of the franchise. The time I want to put on Marvel Avengers, really, that is the time that I want to put on Marvel Avengers, because if that means that if I'm putting that time, that means I'm enjoying the game and I'm having friends to play with and I'm just doing ton of stuff in the game. So that's what I want. I'm talking about, the perspective of someone that really, really, really wants this to happen.
I don't know. It's like for me, like when I heard that, I was like, okay, because it makes sense. Sony has all the rights to Spider-Man, so it like I don't get the outrage. Like everyone knows that Sony essentially owns Spider-Man when it comes to outside of comic books.
It's just
So
silly. It honestly is silly. That's like the
well,
conversation we were having last week. You remember, Bam, with was it last week or the week before, about Porsche being bought
Porsche.
by Need for Speed franchise, and then when they released
Oh,
it,
yeah,
Porsche
yeah,
came
yeah.
out on all the consoles. That actually felt good. Didn't it feel good to you when you play a Forza Motorsport and you can play up with a Porsche finally?
I don't like Porsches, so
Well, either way, I got excited. I really got excited because
yeah.
I got to play with a car that I've never been able to play in my life before, because it was only on Need for Speed. I couldn't play on any other racing game. And finally, the Porsches, came out and you could play with them. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of Porsche either, but I jumped on it right away because it's like, one of the most iconic franchises on racing.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
It's like yeah, but
brand, not franchise. It's a brand, but
yeah, Brent, yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, like back to Spider-Man, like or the Avengers game. Like I think I think it's the least of the game's worries that Spider-Man's on just PlayStation, because they have the technical issues, there's the monetization issues, assumedly, and then again it's like it's just one missing character. Yes, it's a big one, but then again you have an ensemble of characters and they're gonna keep adding more. So
Uh-huh.
in the end, I
Fair
think
enough.
that a single missing character is not gonna do much.
No, I was saying everything is adding. Everything is adding. Everything
Yeah,
is like mounting on top of the other thing.
yeah, it's piling on this.
Yeah. So it's
Dissolving a
getting
pile of crap. Yeah.
exactly. It's just starting to pile all together, and it's like you don't really
Yeah.
know what's gonna happen, because there is a lot. You kind of like that's my way. My point of
Yeah.
view is I see. Okay, I'm seeing this, and I'm like, monetization. That looks weird. That doesn't look right. Well, it's okay. It might be just a simple fact that it's gonna be maybe an unison, season pass, and they're gonna be passing it over to each character and blah blah and whatnot. You start seeing there is one missing character which is gonna be on PlayStation. It's not gonna be on any other console or PC for that matter. And you're like, oh man. And then you see, connecting to Fortnite and stuff like that, which has nothing to do with it. It's like, oh
Yeah.
wow. And then you start seeing other things. It's like everything is mounting, and it's like, oh boy, I don't know. I really don't like the look of this. It's
Yeah.
like I'm literally afraid of the release of the final game, because I really want it to do well, and I really want to play, and I really want everyone to enjoy, because that means we're all going to have fun with it, and it's just looking everything that I look at is like it's getting worse and worse, and it's like, oh wow,
I
Yeah.
mean,
oh
There's
wow.
so
yeah. I think that's the thing. There is not like yes, the game's okay when you get to play it when it doesn't break, but that's
Mhm.
essentially the only thing that you hear good about the game. Other than that, it's all bad.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't want to be the naysayer, and I don't want to, in particular, get Lord Val's wrath on me, but if I can be the negative
careful what you
Nancy,
say, boy.
if I can just be the negative Nancy for one sentence, I think we might have another Anthem on our hands.
I wouldn't be
Please don't say
surprised.
that, man. Don't say that. Oh,
I'm
Val, you're gonna
sorry.
read the tattoo.
oh man, I'm not gonna tattoo myself. I got a T-shirt already. I don't need to tattoo anything. But I'm honestly, 100% honest with you guys. I'm more of a DC guy. I'm more of a kind of like darker, kind of like DC comics or DC characters. My favorite character of all time is Green Lantern. I'm more of a DC guy. I'm like, if this was a DC game, I don't care what they pay. I just throw the money at them and just say, just take all my money. I don't care. This is my account and this is all my security.
So
my
you
security
already
password.
so
Just take it. Just take it.
so
No,
you,
but for real, I'm not the biggest fan of Marvel. I like Marvel, obviously. I do like Marvel because I'm a nerd, and I like the superheroes. Obviously, I like to feel like a superhero playing a game, and this game just feels good. And its characters, some of them are, none of them is really my favorite, but I like to play as all of them. You know what I mean? And that's why comes like what I was saying to you, Bam Bam, before. It's like, yeah, I feel hurt for not playing with Spider-Man because I don't have a single favorite one, but I like to play with them all. I like, having fun with all of them and enjoying, playing with all the characters because I don't have a single favorite, so I can play with all of them. And DC is not coming out with anything similar like this, and I'm super excited about the game. So,
Speaking of DC, have you seen the reveal poster by Rocksteady that they're working on a Suicide Squad game?
they are going to reveal it on August 22nd.
Yeah.
And honestly, I want to see what Rocksteady does with it. I'm not
Yeah.
super hyped about it because Arkham Knight was mediocre at best.
Yeah. Go on.
Maybe we can get something good out of it.
Yeah, hopefully, because I think they had enough time after Arkham Knight, because Arkham Knight looked really, really shoddily and quick put together. I think if they had like 4 years, 5 years now.
Yeah.
So hopefully that works out for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, just because Val was talking about DC.
Yeah, exactly.
No, like I said, my favorite is DC. So obviously, I would like to see both of them doing well. If I'm honest with you, I would like to see DC. I would like to see games coming out left, right, and center. But this one, like, I'm extremely excited for the fact that it could be the one game that you say, okay, this is the one game I was really looking for, and I can put my time on this. And unfortunately, does not seem. Like all the little things are pointing at might not be the best. And don't remind me, Anthem. I honestly, I want to know about Anthem. I want to know what's going on with Anthem, and I want to have news. There is absolutely no news. They've been completely silent for almost a year now. They come up with a couple of things, or 3, and that's about it. And they're saying they're working on it, but I mean, I believe
on it. I don't believe it.
I believe Anthem is gonna be big. They're gonna come up with something. They're gonna change the system and they're gonna come up with a really big and good system. I guess we're just waiting for that. But yeah, I don't want this Marvel game to be like that. I think in my opinion, what really could happen to this Marvel game is exactly the same as happened with Battlefront. It's
as we said already.
Yeah, it's kind of like I said it coming. I said the same thing coming, and I really hope it's not the case. I really hope it's not, because we already have the same thing that just happened not long ago. So yeah, those are my thoughts on Marvel gaming. Potentially could be great. Is it gonna happen? It's up to them. It's up to Square Enix to be using a predatory monetization system, or just let us enjoy a game that we all like. It will have its flaws. All games have flaws. They could be fixed in the future, but please don't do that. Please don't make people spend $60 every month on the game or on skins and stuff like that. Please don't do that.
Yeah, if you're like excited, it's good. Be excited, but at the same time, just don't pre-order the game. Just wait for the reviews.
Be cautious about the game.
Very cautious.
I'll sit here meanwhile and wait for the reveal of Suicide Squad. How about that? Okay.
I pre-ordered the game, by the way. Don't.
Here we go. Guess who gets
don't be
Val.
Don't pre-order video games. Don't do it.
Don't be like Val. Don't pre-order video games, please. Thank you.
Okay. So moving on, I think we beat this horse to death.
Yeah.
Crossroads. Or what's the
Oh,
title
Fast and
called?
Furious Crossroads, the
Yeah.
best bad game of the year.
The best
Ah.
bad game of the year.
Man, I think
Yeah.
the game is brilliant. The game...
It's what I'd call it is brilliantly stupid. That's what I'd call the game.
The game is freaking brilliant, man. I love it. I love it.
I've yeah,
right.
like
So...
sorry, I just gonna say like I pretty much just watched. It was some Mad McMuscles, and I think it was the Layman Gaming. So I've just watched other people's play it. It looks stupid, and I kind of want to play it myself.
You know what the developers call it? Did you
No.
know what they said? They call it. They call
No.
it the Need for Speed killer.
I mean, at this point, like when you think about it, it plays a lot like the Run or Need for Speed Rivals because it's like a linear progression. So yeah, why not?
But they call it the Need for Speed killer.
No, it's not.
As soon as I saw it, I was like, what the heck? What are you talking about? I was actually got excited for a second. I was like, oh wow. It sounds good.
Yeah.
And then you saw the games, you see the images and you're like, oh wow, that might, it looks like Need for Speed. It could be even better than Need for Speed until you see the gameplay.
Yeah.
Oh
No,
my god.
isn't
Oh,
it?
so bad.
It's who's the developer? It's because I think one of the part of the game is developed by Slightly Mad Studios, who did the Project Cars.
No, I really don't know. I'm
It's
gonna find out.
Trigon. So no, Slightly Mad was involved in some capacity.
Yeah,
I don't know in which. And the video game studio of Vin Diesel actually made
Or is
that.
it the Trigon? Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
it's
Oh, yeah.
Trigon. Trigon did the heavy lifting, and I think
It shows.
Slightly Mad did did some
Slightly
car
Mad
models.
is a developer, actually. Slightly Mad, the studios are the developers of the game. And the publisher is Bandai Namco.
Slightly Mad is the developer. Really?
Yes. Slightly Mad Studios.
They probably had the B-team working on it while they were working on Project Cars 3.
Yeah. They're like,
Oh,
we need a rain check. Okay, here we go. Let's work with good old Vin Diesel.
Yeah, let's we need something. We need a little bit of money, so let's go with that. Oh my god.
You know what? Like it looks so bad that it's good for like one playthrough just to see how stupid it gets. That when it's like a tenner, I might take the dive and actually play it.
Okay. I gotta say one thing about the game. Okay, so the game is good. Okay, let me tell you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you why. The game is good if it came out 10 years ago. The game is not good nowadays. The graphics of the game, the facial expression. Did you guys notice the arms of Dom?
Oh yeah.
This is with every single time I see. I don't know why. Every single time I see Dom crossing its arms, I'm like, why? Like when he's crossing his arms, he's got like massive muscles on the like. You just picture this, okay? Dom, Vin Diesel. Just picture it. Massive shoulders, massive chest, massive biceps, and then this part of the arm is like this. It's like tiny. It's like this. And I'm oh my god! I'm like, for real? It's honestly, he's like from the elbow down to his hand. It's like tiny. It's like a baby's arm.
Yeah, like honestly, like every character looks like they went through a nuclear fallout. They have like weird Guns and Bobos hats. It looks.
How can you do that to Vin Diesel? It's not difficult.
It looks like the way. Honestly, like when I see the in-game model of Vin Diesel as Dom, like all I think about is like it's the fat Vin Diesel hat on a weird misshapen Vin Diesel Fast and Furious 1 body.
Oh man, it's
I
so.
I need to put in screenshots of that in the editing.
Yeah,
It looks
you
absolutely
have to.
glorious,
E-
and I want to play it. Like,
e-
seriously.
every single time I'm looking at gameplay and Dom comes out and it's like closing his arms and it's like, why did you put baby elbow down arms and then the rest of the body is Vin Diesel? It's like all buffed and it's all big, massive, and then you got like baby arms from elbow down. I just don't get it. I really don't. It bugs me. It really does bug me every single time I look at it. The handling of the cars is actually bad.
I mean, I fully expected because, like, I'm pretty sure, like, it says it was developed by Slightly Mad, but like the way I look at it, Slightly Mad just made the car models and that's it.
Yeah,
And
I think
everything else is by Trigon. By
yeah,
the Vin Diesel game.
that's actually what it says on in here. I just Google it and it says yeah, it's made by Slightly My Studios.
Yeah, Wikipedia says it's made by Slightly Mad, but
Because it shows Trigon logo during when you're playing the game, actually.
Hmm.
So they might have just purged the name from every single storefront to be like, you know what, Vin Diesel can't afford to take the hit, so Slightly Mad Studios will take the hit.
Slightly Mad Studios is the name right at the front of the game. So I guess it's made by them, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we'll see.
So either way,
Yeah.
Slightly Mad Studios, you do an absolute excellent racing franchise, which is Project Cars franchise. You got cars, you got amazingly looking cars, you got a really good simulator, and then you come up with this. Like, come on, guys, don't do that to us. Why?
I think it might have been just like, oh, let's try to make an arcade game, and this is the abomination that crawled its way out of, whatever hell they reached out to.
Why Slightly Mad Studios, man? I actually pre-ordered Project Cars 3. I'm scared. I really don't know what to expect anymore.
Val making all the best decisions.
Oh man, I'm going to backtrack on everything from now on. The game not being real now. The problem with the game is it doesn't look good. The cars handle weird, but like extremely weird. It's not right. It's just not right. You can't be a Need for Speed killer. Need for Speed has one thing. Need for Speed does the same thing. It's like the Fast and Furious franchise. Okay, let me explain that to you. Fast and Furious franchise. What is it? Cars, romance, and bromance. That's what it is.
Family. And family. You forgot the family.
And family. Well, that's basically how many Fast and Furious movies we have now? 8? Is it 8 or 7?
9.
9.
We got 9 Fast and Furious movies. We all go and watch Fast and Furious. Don't lie to yourself. You watch it as well. So
I did, and I admit to that because they're not bad movies.
They're the 80s action movies we don't get anymore.
Yeah, like we all do it. It's like you can see it's like the same game over and over again. So, the same movie over and over again. So what I'm going to the representation of Fast and Furious on a game franchise is Need for Speed. It's literally the same thing. Need for Speed is the same game over and over again. Every year, 2 years, they change things here and there. They do, they add characters. They add a linear story. It's all about racing and street racing, and the next game is all about real racing and real tracks and stuff like that. They do the same thing. Why people keep playing it? Because it's a Need for Speed franchise. It's like you like racing. It feels good. That's the problem with that. That's the thing. There was only one game. I can't remember which one. Was it Heat? Need for Speed Heat, the one that didn't handle well?
No, Heat was fine.
There was one game came out recently, like 5-6 years ago.
It was either the Need for Speed 2015 or there was Payback, and then it was probably the Need for Speed 2015 because it was for some reason just named to Need for Speed.
Yeah. So basically, The only game that didn't do well is the only Need for Speed. The only Need for Speed that didn't handle well as they used to normally. So that's exactly what I'm saying. It's a game franchise that what's to the game. Like everyone would wonder, like the younger generation, you guys haven't played Need for Speed 1, Need for Speed Underground, Need for Speed Underground 2. You probably haven't even seen Need for Speed until 2 years ago. We have been playing Need for Speed for almost 20 years. What's to Need for Speed that we, maybe the people that have been playing for 20 years, keep coming back to the franchise? Exactly the same thing as Fast and Furious. Fast and Furious is all about, the same thing. And it's like, it feels good to watch a movie. You kind of like keeping with the story, and you kind of like, it feels good to be, it's racing and you got family and you got stuff. Need for Speed, what's good to Need for Speed? It's the handling. It's the game. The racing, because it feels like you going fast and it feels like you're driving cars, which are easy to handle. Not
Yeah.
easy, but they feel good when you handle it with a controller. You grab your controller
Yeah.
and
The-
you grab Need for Speed and you feel like you freaking racing driver, and you're racing on the nighttime with neons lights everywhere. So that's
yeah.
what.
The thing is though that they also Need for Speed never really reused driving model. They did that in I think it was the first 3 games, and then they used to shift the driving model between the games because, like, I used to play a lot of Need for Speed games. I still go back to play the original Most Wanted, which I think is one of the most fun arcade racing games still out there. Then you had Pro Street, which is I think the best Need for Speed got when it comes to handling, because it was right like dead center between arcade and simulation. And I like the shift games, but the shift games was the issue there because it was more of a simulator. Then I've played one of the newer ones I've played. I think it was The Run, which was just an abomination. And then I've played a bit of Heat because I had a chance to borrow a PS4 version, and that plays fine because essentially it goes way back in the way cars used to handle. Like, it's not always more of the same, and I think that's the issue with Need for Speed, because they need to essentially get into that, just do more of the same, because that's only the way. Like, pick one, and because then they can make it work, you can improve on that. Whereas, the older ones used to just throw everything all out of the window and redo it from scratch.
Hear me out. That's the secret of Need for Speed, isn't it? The handling of the cars. You feel like you're going super fast with the car. There's 1 or 2 games that didn't handle as well. They didn't perform as well either. What makes you keep coming back to Need for Speed? It's just the cars and the racing, and it feels good. Like the car handle is very important.
It boils down to one thing: it's racing fast food. I know this is always a little bit of a bad allegory because fast food has kind of a bad rep, but then again, everyone goes to McDonald's once in a while.
Yeah.
I play Need for Speed once in a while. I watch the Fast and the Furious movies once in a while. So yeah, like you said, well, it just feels good to drive the cars, to race a little bit, and then basically go my merry way. Car handling is an important part of racing games.
Yeah.
I
mean, in all racing games.
Yeah.
An arcade, even more an arcade racing game, which is based on, obviously, you can really say it's basically tending to go, it's moving towards, it's leaning towards the Need for Speed. Obviously, the way the cars look and the way the cars move and everything. If you're leaning towards that game, towards those Need for Speed, your handling has to be spot on. Don't make a mistake on that. Your handling has to be spot on, 100%. You can't make a mistake on that. Why is the game? I mean, it could look like 10 years old to me. It could, Dom could look like baby arms and stuff like that. But then if the car handling is good, people would stick to it. People would say, oh, man, it feels good. It feels good to race. It feels good to, to destroy, cops, cars and everything, and bump into everything and blah, blah, whatnot. But man, the game, the handling feels bad. Like, you would not believe how bad it is. There are cars on Crossroads that are almost impossible to handle. For now, I'm gonna tell you the the one car that handles the best is an electric Jaguar, which is an. I'm, I'm not joking. An electric Jaguar, which is a what to my call? It's a SUV. It's an SUV, electric Jaguar, familiar, and it's the best handling car. No, no,
Room.
no.
I gotta be honest now. Want to play the game even more.
I swear to you, like up until the point that I am now, it's like that's the best one that feels. It's like, no, it's just it can't be. Like honestly, there is some cars that are like absolutely horrible. I don't know. It's to me, it's not the looks, even though it bugs me to see Vin Diesel with baby arms. I would be mad if I was Vin Diesel, by the way. I would be really mad. But no, the handling of the cars is just terrible. My point was if you nail down the handling and you nail down how the car should feel on an arcade, like you just look at Need for Speed and that's how you have to do it. Simple as that. It's like whether people like it or not, Need for Speed, the franchise, whatever. Yeah, they make money and they make unfinished games. Yeah, fair enough. But the handling of the cars is a Need for Speed handling. If you see a game that like I think the arcade feel on racing, like the pioneers on that handling, that model of handling, is the guys at Need for Speed. They created that.
Yeah, I think it's the
How
older
an
teams. Yeah.
arcade, isn't it? Like how an arcade racing game should feel like.
No,
They are
like
the ones to do that.
if you ask me, like the best arcade racing, it's gonna be always Burnout. Burnout 3 and 4. Those are the best arcade racing games out there. Like I will fight anyone to death over that.
It's a different type of game.
No, it's a racing game. It's an arcade racing game.
Yeah, but it's not not kind of like the racing.
Oh,
Like
you mean like you mean like dumbed down like sim racing,
yeah,
which is
like
Need for Speed.
yeah, like the Need for Speed is just down to the racing and racing only. I'm just talking about racing and racing only. I mean, I agree with you on the burnout. Burnout it feels completely good, but I think burnout handling kind of comes from Need for Speed as well.
The thing is, it's like because Burnout has more in common with Ridge Racer, which is another big arcade racing franchise, which I think did racing like arcade racing back on PlayStation 1 before Need for Speed really figured out how the cars should handle.
Yeah.
So we can also go into that, like Ridge Racer, especially Ridge Racer 4 on PlayStation 1,
Yeah,
which is another big name in arcade racing games.
yeah. I mean, I know. Yeah, the Ridge Racer and everything, but yeah, like I said, those may be the one spot. Like I think, in my opinion, it's just the Need for Speed were the pioneers on. They
No,
nailed it.
I
They
don't think they're
nailed
the.
it down on the handling, and they kind of moved on with it. Obviously, Need for Speed is still going up until now. Obviously,
Yeah,
they must be doing something right. So that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. It's like they kind of like took the arcade racing and said, okay, so this is how it should feel like to race a Lamborghini Diablo. Because we all remember when we used to ride the Lamborghini Diablo on the PlayStation 1, man. That felt
Yeah.
like you felt like the races that there's the fastest guy in the world on that
Yeah.
car. And that was on my PlayStation 1. Like that was graphics to the lowest. And it did feel good. And they nailed down, that arcadey feel of the game. And they continued on from that. And that's what is inspired, obviously, all the games to be doing the same. It's just the handling is still going up until now. And they tweaked it slightly so it keeps progressing and it keeps feeling good year after year after year after year for I don't know how many years it's been now for Need for Speed, how many games of Need for Speed we have, because we got we got about 10, 12 games so far for Need for Speed.
I mean,
Even
when you
more than
think
that.
just on like the PS4, Xbox One, you have 2015, you have Rivals, The Run, you have Payback. Yeah, you have at least 5 games just now, and then you have whatever there was on PS2, Xbox, GameCube, PS1, and older like PC. So yeah, I think there's maybe almost 20 games altogether.
Yeah.
In Need for Speed franchise. Like, all I'm gonna say is like Need for Speed is just a brand of arcade racing that just caught on massively in the mainstream. I think
20,
because
27 Need
it's
for Speed game.
because they went from they started as as simulators. They were pitched as simulators.
Mhm.
The first, I think,
Yeah.
Need for Speed and Need for Speed SC, Need for Speed
Yeah.
2 and 3, those were pitched as simulators.
Yeah.
But then they realized, more people are gonna, buy the game if it's easy to control.
Yeah.
So that's why, yeah. But I mean, arcade like racing games, arcade racing, it's a wide sea of games that could be picked as an origin of the.
I would say Bam, the Need for Speed franchise kind of went with the generation on racing, because racing generation, obviously, just as a simulator, they wanted to do a simulator game. Obviously, tapping into that simulator thing, but then it moved into the arcade because the whole market moved into arcade games with the consoles, and they kind of evolved that way. And
Yeah, I
then
think.
they moved back into simulation because of the kind of like the market
Yeah.
came back to simulation because everyone wanted to be, because there was a saturation of arcade games, and then everyone wanted to do the next Gran Turismo. So
Yeah, the thing is also like the main point where the franchise got popular was Underground. And why did Underground come out? Because Fast and Furious came out.
Yeah.
So now we roll back in. Here we go with a Fast and Furious game that tries to destroy, the franchise it essentially spawned, and fails horribly, and is a mess that I want to play. But at the same time, yeah, it's definitely not a Need for Speed killer. Need for Speed does that job on its own by itself. It's killing itself. But yeah.
Like I said, they nailed down
Yeah.
the arcade feel of the game, and they keep going with it, and they keep evolving it, and it's how it should feel. If you want to beat Need for Speed, you have to nail that feeling. You need to have that. Graphics could be better, graphics could be worse, but the feeling of the game, the driving needs to be. If you want to be, obviously, you making a game slightly mad studios that looks exactly the same as Need for Speed, or with Vin Diesel on it, your focus should be on the handling. The handling of the game should be completely different, and it should feel good and easy to feel to drive the car. It should be like easy and not easy at the same time. So you need to have that middle ground between those cars. What you can't have, slightly mad studios, is to have a SUV, a Jaguar SUV electric car to be the best handling car up until now.
Do you want to? I kind of want to know how much Jaguar paid to them to make that car the best car in the game.
That can't happen. That should not be the case. You can't have that as the best handling car in your game. So obviously, my final saying on this game is, it's a good attempt. Nowhere near. You missed it by 10 years. If you released the game 10 years ago, you may have had a chance, but not in 2020. Come on. You know better than this. And I hope Project Cars 3 is better than this, because I pre-ordered it. And I will return it. I will return it if I don't like it.
Another great decision.
Yeah, that's my final saying on this amazing Crossroads.
Sounds like an amazing game.
Yeah, it sounds wonderful. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Baby arms. Yeah, baby arms.
Yeah, true post-apocalypse look.
Vin Diesel appears on the screen always, crossing arms, and it's like, baby arms. No, don't do that. I hate it.
Maybe he's cosplaying a T-Rex.
He goes like that. Whee!
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so sad to see that, man. I would be mad if I was Vin Diesel. I would be calling them tomorrow. Oh my god.
He saw that. He was like, close enough.
I swear I'll be calling them tomorrow, saying, what you done to my arms? I'm not a T-Rex. Bro, that's just, oh my god. No, moving on. I think we're talking enough about the wonderful game.
Alright, a discussion I have been waiting for. Death Stranding versus Death Stranding.
Let's talk about half-dead babies.
Yes. Can we talk about how much of a horrible concept the babies are in this game?
And like I'm even more baffled by nobody talking about it before. Like, yeah, like I talked about it with you and with our friend Retro,
Yeah.
and I'm like as many reviews as I went through, nobody's talking about the horrific idea of the
Babies. Yeah.
of the what are they called, babies? Yeah, babies, BBs.
BBs. The BBs. Yes. A terrifying concept ripped from their brain-dead mother's wombs to help you see killer Cthulhu creatures from somewhere.
Yeah, it's yeah, essentially you're using them in a way as a connection to the world of the dead,
Yeah.
to
Amazing.
the world that was, I think they called it at one point. Yeah.
Great concept there, Kojima. Get a washing machine.
No, yeah, I think that game has a plethora of questionable concepts, honestly.
Yeah, it has.
At least when it comes to story. I think gameplay wise it's a breath of fresh air.
That's an interesting statement to make. I think it's a literal walking simulator.
No, how far are you? Did you make it past the first map and get into more of a combat situation?
No. I still punch mules, and the punching feels like very, let's say, stiff.
Yeah, I think because in a way it's I think that's because you can use the strand and to counter and parry the enemies, and it looks way more dynamic and the animations are less stiff. So I think it's in a way it's to communicate that Sam, your character, is not trained in combat. He's a delivery man. I mean, when I throw a punch, I look even worse.
Yeah, but the handling is not. Yeah.
Yeah,
It,
no,
it
no, no.
doesn't handle very well. So I basically, yeah, did some more deliveries, did some more quests, but I'm nowhere near the second map. I think the game is strenuous at times to play, and
And I think
not strenuous.
exhausting.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I think in a way, I think that's the idea behind it, and I totally get if that's not someone's cup of tea.
I mean, it's like people saying that The Last of Us 2 isn't fun to play.
No,
Then the question
yeah, but the
arises,
question
why
is
should I play your game at all?
yeah, and see, it's like I enjoy that. See, it's like I'm just gonna explain like why I like Death Stranding. Death Stranding, it's a different game. It's a mishmash of several different genres. It's a light survival game. It's a horror game. It's a stealth action game. There is a towards the end of chapter 2. There is a lot of crawling around bases or like base camps and avoiding enemies, either the ink monsters and also the mules. And the mules later get proper weapons. They get assault rifles, shotguns. In a way, towards the end it becomes more of a MGS5 than just plain old delivery simulator. What I like as well is the traversal feels more involved of the environment. And that's what gave me as well. I liked planning my routes. I liked optimizing my deliveries to get the best rating. It's a game that if you're not on board to spend whatever amount of time it takes you to plan out a proper route, and then I get the feeling I get the feeling of success and accomplishment when I do. It's like, okay, I planned this, I did it, I executed the route correctly, and now I get an S rank. I like that. I liked the community stuff where you get involved with other players, constructing roads. That's on the second map you start. You get to the stations that will construct roads, which are extreme speed boost to your deliveries, and also facilitate moving around the map. And in a way, it's a once you with other players, because you get put into essentially an anonymous group who can pull together resources to build these things, because unless you're really far in the game, you're not even like be able to hope that you can build it yourself. So you have to pull together, essentially work with others and pull resources and build a road. And at the end, it felt weirdly satisfying when I know how much time and how much effort it took to cross the map on foot, when I can then just take a bike and cross the road cross the map in 10 minutes flat on a bike without any issues from the enemies. As I told you, this game I think is for people who are straight up on board with huge time investment and get accomplishment from building things and getting involved with a really wide set of systems. As I said, I'm a completionist. I like to milk the game for what it's worth, and I think that's why it clicked with me, because I did spend exuberant amount of hours on it, and I built everything. I have every single trophy. I'm definitely there. Like, I'm not saying the story has some weird moments, but at the same time, I think there's the bigger issue with the story is that when Kojima left Konami, he left a lot of the people that helped him made Metal Gear Solid what Metal Gear Solid was behind. At Konami, they didn't leave with him, which is very apparent when we think about Murata, who's the co-writer of a whole lot of the best Metal Gear Solid games with Kojima. So yeah, story-wise, it suffers a bit from that loss, but at the same time, I think the problem is translation and localization of being more under the watchful eye of Kojima, whereas for Metal Gear Solid games, he had a lot less say over the translation as well, I think. So we get a lot of Kojima's English in Death Stranding. But yeah.
Which is a very bad idea.
Yeah, we get a lot of weird
As
Kojima English.
As a professional translator, I'm appalled. But that's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
The thing is that in general, I think that the story doesn't really grasp me at this point.
Yeah, I think it takes way too much time to get you really involved. Sorry.
I find some of the stuff that's happening in the first few hours in the game to be laughably bad.
Yeah.
Like, your mother, you're literally just a postman. Then it turns out your mother is the president of the United States. Then your mother dies of cancer and you bring her to the crematorium as the postman that you are. I laughed the entire way throughout. And it didn't have any emotional impact, and it was written like it was supposed to have an emotional impact. It was not written as a dark comedy or something.
Essentially, yeah, I don't think it was written for you to be like real impact. You don't know Sam. Essentially, it's a starter game. You don't have any emotional connection. So I'm not sure there was any implied like you should feel this way. I think the way it was like this is a thing that happens in this world.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the writers, Kojima in this case, really wanted us to connect with Sam in this way, but it just failed in my eyes. It was just a very failed attempt at writing or connecting the player to the character.
No, like the way I felt, like a lot of the writing feels disconnected, which is a theme in the game. So in some cases it works. There are characters I like. There's obviously the Kojima names. There's the Die Hard Man.
Oh god.
Which I laughed when I heard that. I was like, holy crap. This is straight up the pain, the fury from Metal Gear Solid 3.
To go into that naming, the pain, the fury, and everything, they all had a theme behind them.
Very thin
And
theme.
and I think the naming worked in that regard. And I don't mean a theme with style of how you fight them or what they bring to the table to the fight. The backstory was geared towards it, and Die Hardman is just literally named because he just dies hard. There's nothing else to him. Even
Yeah,
his design.
Later in the story you get actually revelation that essentially it's a code name.
And even his design doesn't really spell Die Hardman, which in turn the Fury was all about fire.
Yeah.
No?
The pain had the beast in his mouth
yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah, but it kind of fit, you know.
Yeah.
It's something different. They were designed in a certain way to fit their name, and I don't feel the same way about Die Hardman. It just sounds
Yeah.
laughably bad again.
I think it's also the issue that a lot of the visual design is really mute when compared to his previous works. It's muted down, it's toned down, it's more like down to earth.
Yeah, but that's the question. Why did he do that? I'd rather have him really unleash his genius there, because he can do interesting stuff with visual designs. He's not the strongest writer.
He's not even a writer. I wouldn't call him a writer.
He needs somebody to keep him in check, like you said, like the guys who worked with him on Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah.
He needs someone to put his vision into something cohesive. And this is what this game is thoroughly lacking.
I think the cohesion comes in way too late for a lot of people. Like, I was on board because I enjoyed the gameplay loop. I was there for it. So I was like, yeah, okay, I'll push through. Because it's weirdly skittish when it comes to story until, very late in the game as well. It's also full of just Kojima being like, oh, I have famous friends now.
Yeah, that's another thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It shows a lot about Kojima, and that despite everyone before wanting him to essentially work without like any restraint, he needs restraint and real hard restraints. I think he's more of a, because as I said, I enjoy the gameplay, and his games are not always hit with everyone. There's the Zone of Enders, which is a weird mecha arcade.
I love Zone of the Enders.
I love Zone of Enders, and we need more. Yeah, but it didn't click with a lot of people because they just want him to make Metal Gear Solid. I'd rather see him not do Death Stranding 2. I want him to see him do something else, because I think his gameplay concepts are really intriguing, and sometimes he comes up with really out there ideas that I'm on board. Like, I don't have to 100% like them, but I will play through them because it's something new usually.
Like I already said, and said on my YouTube videos, I respect Kojima still as a game maker and as someone who tries to do something new. I also won't knock Death Stranding too much, as it tried something new and something fresh and unique. I would file it under okay, interesting, but it's probably, from what I've played so far, not for me.
Yeah,
I will still see it through. I will still play it to completion, but I will take my time with it, and I will probably, play longer.
As I said, I've spent ungodly amount of hours on it. I spent maybe 150 hours on it.
That's way too long.
I think to finish it, it took me about 80, but I took my time. I've built all the roads. I've finished all the deliveries I had before the game ends, and I S ranked all of them. That's, I think, the type of player the game's built for. And if you don't like the idea of chasing S ranks and planning your routes and exploring. I can't tell you how glad I was that there is so few. Like there's essentially no towers that just go like, oh, and this is all there is in here.
I appreciate that, actually.
And there's a lot of hidden stuff as well. There's a cool Easter egg with one of the characters played by Troy Baker, where you essentially find more backstory on him and what's the deal there. It's a bit weird. It's really Kojima weird. It's like I've put it onto the same shelf as why does Otacon and every single incarnation of Otacon keep wetting himself.
Yeah, this is Kojima for you.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want. I mean, I know many people are going to hate me for this, but I don't like a single game from Kojima. I hear that name and I just stay away from it.
I mean, you played Destiny, so I don't blame you.
The Death Stranding game is just one. I don't understand what the guy's doing. Second, I mean, I know he's traveling with a baby or something, but it's just weird for me, man. I really dislike everything he does. It's just a personal preference. I don't think it's bad. I think for me personally, I dislike his work.
Yeah, no, I totally get it because like you're more of a.
I just find it weird, man. I just don't find it.
Yeah, you like to feel comfortable in your games, I guess.
I don't feel. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I could say that. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, that's
feel
why you don't play
comfortable
horror
with-
games as well, right?
Yeah, exactly. I don't feel comfortable carrying, playing a game that I'm carrying a baby. It's like, it feels weird.
I like that you have to shake the baby.
Oh yeah, you don't shake the baby, as the Cooking Mama spin-off will tell you. Don't shake the baby. You will just gently rock the baby, because when I've seen you shake the baby violently, which makes it even more agitated, I'm like, it just tells you to do it slowly, so you slowly rock it into back to calm state. But no, Orco is essentially making a freaking protein shake with a baby inside.
Well, I'm an orc. I need my proteins.
That's how we shake our babies, right?
Yeah, exactly. Shake the
That's how
baby.
you do it. That's how you do it in Orcoland.
Yeah, that's the PSA. Don't trust us with any babies at all.
To get back to my point, I really try to appreciate what he does, and Kojima made one of the best games of all time in my mind, which is the Metal Gear Solid 3. Yes.
Yeah.
He caught lightning in a bottle there, and it will never happen again. For him, personally, I think.
Yeah, sorry. Because, like, to me, he's not 100% of whatever game he's working on. A lot of the work, like, a lot of the cool ideas and stuff also comes from people that work off of him. As we talk, Murata and some of the localization teams that work with him before, they made it work. And I think if he can find another or surround himself with a similar team that can bounce off of him with ideas and corral his vision into something that's really super cohesive, I think it's not out of the question to get another game that's like Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater.
Yeah, that's actually true.
He just needs the right team.
Yeah,
I think he needs new people.
You said it there. Let me tell you. What is it? I don't know. Like, what's his vision? That guy needs to get a grip. That's for starters. And it's like everything. It's just. I think. I know what you're saying about representing his vision and everything. Obviously, they have to make it happen, isn't it? If he comes to me with the idea, I'm carrying a baby and I want to take the baby, it's like, okay, Kojima, do you actually know? Are you actually telling me that I'm going to create a character that is going to be carrying a baby throughout different places, and I just have to be careful not to drop it, and he's just moving the thing in the backpack around? It's like, yeah, we're going to make that happen somehow.
Yeah, I mean,
If
you
it
could.
comes to me like that, the first thing, I'm sorry. I don't want to be disrespectful or anything towards him,
Yeah,
but
no.
I will be laughing first.
Yeah,
I'll be
I
laughing,
mean,
The
and then
you
I
could
would say,
boil down
okay.
like any game into that concept. It's like, let's make a game with a bear and a backpack that has a bird in it, and now we have Banjo Kazooie.
Yeah, but it's like it's a cartoon. You just play with a real person. It's actually a famous character. It's actually a famous actor.
I mean
I don't
the
know where to
thing
take it. I don't know how
the
to do it. It's like if he comes to me and I'm a developer, it's like,
what you
how do I
what
do
you
this?
what you need to realize here, Val, about Death Stranding is that Death Stranding is Kojima unhinged. It was
Yeah,
the first game where he had complete say over it.
yeah,
Complete freedom. And this is why I say, and this is what also Bam Bam said, he needs a team that keeps him in check. Because
Yeah.
a lot of that stuff is completely outlandish. And if you
yeah,
look at his efforts, like Metal Gear Solid 3, he had an entire team who kept him in check. And what happened is, I know you don't like the game, but I don't care. He made one of the best games of all time. He can do it. He just needs the right team, as Bam Bam said. And in this case, he presided over basically everything. And
yeah.
his outlandish concepts are there for everyone to see.
Yeah. I think at his obviously at his studio Kojima Productions, I think he doesn't have a team of co-workers and team members. He has team of bootlickers who just do whatever he tells them to.
I mean, yeah,
And I think
fair enough. But
it doesn't help that he has been propped up by the gaming industry a lot.
Yeah. I think that was the issue as well when he left Konami.
Yeah.
There was a lot of like reactionary statements made because he left essentially, and it was suspiciously quick for him to be on board with Sony.
Yeah.
And then you find out that he was essentially talking and schmoozing with Sony and big time Hollywood actors long before he left Konami.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that made Kojima, the staple of the gaming industry as he is now, stayed at Konami because either they they weren't as hit by the conditions, or they realized that if they stay and they make games on their own, they will get the credit they didn't get while working under Kojima. And a lot of the also localization teams, he completely left them out of the Stranding and chose someone who's not gonna edit his vision, which is completely batshit insane.
Yeah.
And there is a lot of people that work with him now or previously and will tell you that he has great ideas, but he's not a writer.
He
And that's the
has
issue.
he has great ideas. He always had been in the gameplay department.
Gameplay
But
department, and like
he
even like the comic book style stories he does.
Yeah.
Like I would liken a lot of his stories to something you'd see in a one-off graphic novel. A lot of the like stuff we like, the the callouts we like, the lines in the games, a lot of them came out from the localization team actually doing their work and localizing whatever Kojima wrote in Japanese. And with Death Stranding, sadly, we get unfiltered Kojima's English, which is, sorry, man,
it's just
it's
bad.
funny. It's funny. It's really funny at times. But I'm not gonna knock down all of those, story of Death Stranding. I think a lot of the acting's great. The actor who's playing Die Hard Man at the when he gets his spotlight, that guy acts his heart out. He's amazing. What helps a lot, what carries a lot of the lines in the Stranding for me is the acting, the voice acting, and the those face scans of Guillermo del Toro and the actor who plays Die Hard Man, and same as Reed, and the
I like that Guillermo del Toro, when we first see him, basically tells you he has been collecting fluid samples of your body
oh
for
yeah,
3 days, which
my
is
favorite
like
my favorite
get
grenade
a
is number 2.
get away from me, you creepy
Creep.
man.
Yeah.
I don't know how you collected those fluid samples and which fluid samples, but get away from me.
I mean, you use that one toilet every time, right?
Of course I do. I always do my number 2 so I get the grenades.
Yeah, if you don't forget them.
I haven't used a single grenade so far in this game.
I'm like, yeah, it was just me watching Orco, and he's going into a section. I'm telling him this is gonna be the first like really involved stealth section, and he completely forgoes any preparation.
I'm a master MLG player, I tell you again.
Yeah, the MLG skills, yeah.
Yeah.
Very good.
No, but yeah, because
Uh,
I recently just played Metal Gear Survive, which everybody will tell you it's a bad game. It's not.
uh-huh.
A lot of people on release were like, "Oh, this is it's bad. Kojima is not involved, so it doesn't matter." But then you look at the credits, and it's a lot of the Metal Gear Solid team, and there is a Silent Hill team in there as well. We have Masamoru Ito, the creature designer from Silent Hill 1, 2, 3, and the FMV designer for Silent Hill 1, who's the biggest rebel in Konami. He refused to give credit to the managers who would be supervising him while he's making the cinematics. So he made all the cinematics in Silent Hill 1 on his own. He would stay in the office, after hours and render these out while everyone else on the team was home sleeping. And he stayed with Konami, and he's still working there. And it's a really cool take on the survival genre. Essentially, it's a Metal Gear Solid with survival mechanics in an environment with zombies or like crystalline zombies and other creatures. It's essentially a nod to the franchise while taking it to a different, it's a spin-off. It doesn't take itself too seriously. There is some microtransactions, but essentially, I don't know how it slipped through Konami that the microtransactions, they don't matter. You don't need to engage with them at all, because every single day there is bounties that you can do and then give you the rare materials you need. It's a combination. It's a stealth game that's also a survival game and a horror game. And there is co-op as well. That's more in style with Monster Hunter, where you get to play through single missions. Co-op is separate from the single player. There's some cool mechanics. You have to balance, your fluid intake, food intake, and later in the game oxygen, because you see just this giant wall of dust on the horizon, and you need to use your oxygen tank and a breathing mask to go through. And once you go through, you see an area that's covered in dust that you would die without the tank. And those areas you have to go in, and they're more dangerous, but there's also rarer stuff. You get blueprints for weapons and stuff like that, or you get to rescue NPCs that will help you at your base, and they will automate some stuff like gathering basic materials, growing plants, cooking, and taking care of the animals. Or later in the game, you unlock a base defense team, so they will defend automatically your base camp while you're away from the monsters as well. So it's really involved, and it's sadly got thrown away because Kojima left Konami, and this game came after Kojima left, so it just got battered for essentially no reason, without a whole lot of people playing it. It was just another reaction to the situation, which shows that sometimes not everything is as it seems on the surface. And I think as an industry and people that talk about gaming, we should take more care, actually investigating what happened, and not just spread, half truths.
Happens on gaming
Yeah, which
all the
is
time.
really
Obviously,
sad. Yeah. So,
it
yeah.
happens all the time. There's nothing we can do about it, really. It happens everywhere, isn't it? I
Yeah.
was actually, I don't know if I can speak about this here, but I was actually watching yesterday. I don't know if you guys know about football or soccer for
Oh,
the
yeah.
US people, but I was watching yesterday on Netflix the documentary about Nicolas Anelka, which is
Yeah.
was
Mhm.
pretty famous, and he actually went through the same thing. Not everything is as it seems in the public, and they make it look even worse. So that's exactly the same. It just
Yeah.
reminded me. I actually watched it
Yeah.
yesterday. It's brilliant, by the way.
Yeah.
You all should watch it.
it was the same like when FIFA released the movie about like the founding of the FIFA, how like grossly romanticized and untrue it was, and the movie comes out while FIFA's being sued by several countries.
Watch that.
Yeah, it's good like especially around like because when it comes to gaming and coverage of gaming, usually we get a whole lot of information, just parse through it before you make decisions to send something onto the
Yeah.
waves.
That's a great closing statement, actually.
Yeah.
Just make sure your information is correct. Make
Yeah.
sure from your own opinion.
Yeah, that's always good. Always have your own take on a thing as well. Though just don't base the take on, oh, I've heard this. Actually pass through the information.
Yeah. All right. Anything to add, gentlemen?
No, I think that's all.
No, good.
This has been the 18th episode of the Orcocast, and with me was my beautiful co-host, Lord Val. Where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/LordVal Gaming. And you can also find me on socials on Instagram, TikTok. I got TikTok. And Twitter as well. Instagram and TikTok is Lord Val Gaming, and Twitter is Lord Val Twitch. And that's about it. If you want to find copyright-free music, go into Spotify, search Stream Jams by Lord Val Gaming, and you got free copyright-free music for your streams or your YouTube videos or everything you want, like basically.
Bam Bam, where can we find you?
Occasionally I pop up in your chat when you're streaming, and that's about it.
Nice.
In Kojima games as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. I'm a paid shill of Kojima Productions. So
Yes, you are.
You find me
Definitely.
on Destiny though.
Fanboy. All
We're
fanboys.
fanboys.
Everyone.
We're fanboys.
All right, and you can find me on Twitch/TheOrcosaurus, Twitter @TheOrcosaurus, Instagram @Orcosaurus, and that's about it. All right, it was been a pleasure, and we are going to close the show out. Drop a comment, drop a like, and we all see us in the next one. Bye bye.
Bye.
bye everyone.